Good morning. Let's start our spiritual practice together. Today we'll start with a class by Adrienne, continuing that series. Is the last one in the series. It's called Gather. So it's in keeping with our theme of return, of reconnecting. And it is a longer class. This is a live class that Adrienne gave. And so this is going to be about a 1 hour full yoga class. And then after that, we're going to move into meditation. But because this class is longer, I'm thinking that I'm going to do perhaps a shorter session, either of meditation or of the discussion portion. Now, how do we do this for anybody that's logging in for the first time? What we're going to do is you put the class in a different screen and you put me on a screen, and the link to the class is in the comments or in the description. And you put that class in one screen, you put me in a different screen, and then I am going to say ready, set, go. When I say go, we click play together, and that way we are synchronized. So we're doing the class together. Then after the class, we move into meditation. I'm not going to come back here and talk with you. I'm going to take advantage of the mindset that yoga gives us. I'm going to try to do my yoga class in a very focused manner to kind of transfer that energy to the meditation session, which is actually the focus. Even though today we're going to do a longer class, I'm happy about it. This is a cool class that I never done a live Adrienne class. This is not going to be live, but it is a class she did teach live, so I'm excited. And when I move into meditation, I hope you will as well. And I will do just some open meditation today. You are free to do whatever you would like. I would just like to let you know that the meditation can last a while. And so I suggest that you try to meditate for a long time. But if you cannot, then perhaps use that time for something that's going to help you grow. Right? So something like preparing for your day, or journaling, or reflecting, or praying, or anything that you think could be connecting to yourself, or connecting it, how to say this, for self-connection or connection to a greater thing, to a greater power. All right. At the end of the session, I will ring a bell. And so that ends the meditation part, and then we're going to reconvene here for the discussion. By the way, if anybody has any question or any difficulty, or if you have any suggestions of practices we could do together or things we could discuss, then you can either write it in the comments, or you can also write it on the Discord channel. So we have a Discord channel. The link is in the comments. And in that Discord, we can discuss esoteric topics and also make suggestions for the stream. And today's discussion is going to be about the connection and reconnection that we have to the practice. So the disconnecting from the practice, and then the return, and how to return, and we'll talk about that. Now, again, as I said, this is a long yoga class, so I'll try to figure out if either the meditation is going to be shorter or the discussion. It depends on inspiration, in a sense. All right, and so I guess this is it, and I hope this was enough time for you to put your class on a device. You should know also that I post the class of the day earlier on Discord. So if you want to prepare ahead, you want to be already ready to start, then on Discord you can get the class a little bit before we start, about 10 minutes before we start. I think it goes around 6:20 a.m. Okay, and so let's get started. Give me 1 second though, because I am not liking that there is a lot of skip frames, and I want to make sure that nothing's wrong here with the connection. I had problems with the connection in previous streams, so I need to make sure that this is okay. So let me just check. So everything that needs to be turned on is, but we are having a lot of drop frames, which does concern me. Hey, hello, how are you? I see you there. I hope you join me in the class. Give me just 1 second to try to figure out what is going on with the connection, because I'm not liking the fact that it is a lot of broken things. So I'm thinking that turn off some, just in case something's drawing bandwidth that should not. Oh, I see. I know something that can be the culprit. I love it when we find a reason for things, because sometimes I'm like, I don't know why that happened. All right. Yes. Let's see if that improves things. And give it 1 second. No. Oh, actually, that could just be the remainder from the other one. Give me a second. Yes. Okay. That's a normal drop. Okay, good. Thank you. I did figure out what it was, and that's good because tomorrow I can prevent this. Excellent. I'm still trying to figure out how to connect this well. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to put my headphones so that you don't hear my recording, and you can put yours loud. And okay. So are you ready? All right. Ready, set, go. Hello. I will take a quick break and then I'll come back here and talk to you all. And give me a second, I'll use the restroom. Hey, all, good morning. Let me- Hello. Hi, Chemical Soup. Hope you're still there. All right. So I don't know if you see, but that this is a porch, right? So that is a screen porch. So normally I don't have a lot of insects, but some can get in. Let me just check here if I have the right. Yeah. So they can get in because the floor is sort of open, so they can they can come in. So I have some bugs there, but they know to be respectful. But for some reason, I have been invaded by ants, and I have never ever had ants here, and I don't know what happened. And they were most disrespectful. So as I was meditating, I had ants crawling on me. And as much as I can have any claim of having learned something in life, I'm not enlightened enough to let ants just crawl all over me and just be cool about it. Actually, I was fairly cool, but there was some point that there were, kind of a lot of them. And when I came out, I saw that there were like several. I had like way more than I thought. So I'm going to have to do something about it. I don't know. I never dealt with them. I am in Georgia, and if you know anything about Georgia, you know it's very humid, and it is insanely humid right now. And I think it rained, and then they came in. But I have no idea why, though. I don't know that I did anything particularly different. They never came here. So anyway, I'm going to have to do something about it. That's, by the way, why I meditate with I don't take my headphones, because I can tolerate a lot of bugs that might come and just hang out. I don't mind them very much. I mean, except like they're crawling so much, but I don't want anything on my ears. So So that's why I do that. All right. Oh, you know what? Let me step out very quickly and get some water. Give me 1 second. You were wondering why I have a here. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I finished the yoga and then I just close it and then I have nothing on. I mean, nothing plain, but I just keep them exactly because of that. This is, fairly open. And even though it's a screen porch, there's a little hole in the top that some wasps made, and something can crawl from there. There's some spiders sometimes. That they might come. This is not really closed. Butterflies and moths often are around. Little things. This is Georgia, and they like it. But as I said, weirdly enough, they all know to be respectful. Overall, nothing is around the yoga area. They're just fine. Sometimes, you may have a little bug around it, but really never there. But you still, I want to be sure that if I feel some sensation, that is not a bug coming in my ear. So that's the one thing. So I just leave them there. I feel the times that I've taken them out, I realize that makes me slightly more distressed. So I'm not enlightened enough to let stuff crawl on my ears and be cool about that. So that's why I just leave them on. And since I'm coming right out of the yoga session, because I don't know if you were here then. So I first do yoga, and for that I do have my earphones, and then if I since I already have them, I just keep them. So that's the reason. But man, this is like crazy. They have invaded, and it's the first time ever. And I've been here for several years, and I've never seen that. So I don't know what is this, and I will need to do something because I can't have ants crawling on me. There were several. It's crazy. Okay, so let's start today's discussion. The topic I wanted to talk about today is in connection to, how some of us like to be connected, right? So I think perhaps everybody likes to be connected, but some of us are quite sensitive to that sensation of connection with the divine, or perhaps connection with ourselves. But I think truly I'm talking about some sort of connection with the divine. So some connection with guidance, or with some, notion that we are held and that we are guided, and, this type of connection. Many of us rely on it quite a bit, and it has been quite a discovery and is a very important thing in our lives. And the issue is that it is quite common to come in and out of that connection. And that can feel very distressing, and it can feel as if you had found yourself and all of a sudden then you're lost, or that you knew what you had to do. You knew something. You have some form of, well, actually the best word is connection. You were connected, and then all of a sudden you are not. And then it feels like being lost, and it feels like being again unconnected. So it feels bad. It's just it's a state that is not desirable, and that it is very unsettling and destabilizing, let's just say. And for a lot of people who are in a spiritual path, they come to a spiritual path because they were in need of something, and then when they find that connection, that is a very dear thing, a very needed thing, that then when it is lacking, it is quite stressing. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this because I have discovered some things over time, because I remember this state very well. I remember this in and out very well, and I don't have it anymore, at least for a while, and it's and it's interesting because in many ways my life hasn't changed. So what happened? And I want to talk about this because I think it might help you. So I thought this was the misconception I was laboring under. I thought that I was connecting and disconnecting so much that I'm even starting this discussion with that notion. So the idea that there was something that was connected to me, God, and you can think that way. I think that'll be the most common thing for most people, but for a lot of people, there will be something like your soul, your higher self, some angels, some guides, and things like that. But I'll just say God to mean this. So forget what I was just saying. So guru, yes, guru, yes, exactly, absolutely. So if you when you get connected, I felt that I was connected and disconnected from this thing. And this was actually a misconception. This wasn't really true. It's not that I was connecting and disconnecting, it's that I had feelings about this that were changing. And that's what I want to talk. Because the moment these feelings changed, even though I was not in that state, that we like to feel, I was all right. And then it makes all the difference in the world, because life, if you're going to live a life in this world, if you're not going to go to a monastery and become isolated from the world, then if you're going to operate in this world, the world is going to get you. Things are going to happen. You're going to have, problems, things that are going to take precedence there. Your children, if you have children, they're going to need something special there at some points. You're going to get, like I did, a new dog, and then you have to housebreak them, and then, that becomes a priority for some time. Or you have, like I had, for example, a problem with connection. I mean, like the internet connection and the way that these stream, it wouldn't be as smooth, and it kept losing a lot of frames. And so I had to deal with something that really interrupted my practice, for example, things like that. And even more serious things, you can get sick, things like that happen. And then you feel that, and therefore you cannot really escape this. So the fact that you will come out of that state of grace, it's a given. It will happen. The difference is that we see that out of the state of grace as disconnection when it is not. And that's what I want to talk to you, because I don't just want to tell you that. I want to kind of show you or give you some more evidence and some more things to notice, and sort of mindset, a mindset to operate under. Because it is complicated. I could have told you, as anybody could, oh, you're always connected to God. Of course, you're always connected to God, right? Oh, how come? What do you mean that you will become disconnected ever? But that doesn't help, right? Because even though you know this, you don't know this. So you don't really get it. And I got it. And I want to see if I can bring you there or closer, at least. That's the point here. And so here's what I want you to notice. I want you to notice that when you become disconnected, even though you may feel like it is some sort of random thing or it happens out of nowhere, notice that there is a practice that you do, and that the practice is the one that falls off first. Because that is, I used to think that something went on, and somehow I got disconnected, and then my practice fell through. What I notice is that if the practice stays, the connection stays. And what happened was that life happened, my practice changed in some sense. Either I was not coming, or I was not coming as much as I usually would do, or when I was in my practice, my mind was in that thing, or the time around the practice, so things shifted in the practice. Then I felt disconnected, and it happens kind of fast. And then in my head, I had this confusion about what came first. And this was fairly distressing. So enough that I would think about things like, being a woman, is this related to my cycle? Oh, am I more connected at this time or less connected at that time? And although there was some sort of signal there, the reality is that it was pretty messy. I couldn't really figure it out. Oh, is it the moon? Let's track the moon, right? And then, I don't know, things like that. So I would think about, some magical thing that could have an effect. And the reality is that one day, when I was forced into doing the practice for a while, and by the way, related to streaming, I realized that, hey, guess what? If I'm just practicing because I have to, after a few days, the connection will come back. And if I am practicing, the connection stays. And if life happens and my head is out, the connection still will stay if the practice is on, even though the grace may fall. And so let's separate those pieces in a second. But for now, just the main thesis, the main thing I want to bring to you is that the practice comes first. And the reason you feel the fundamental disconnect and lack of guidance and being lost and being not held is because the practice fell. It is not because the feeling of disconnection does not come first. The practice falling off comes first. You see, that's the direction. And that is a direction that is once you realize that, once you see that it is true, what I'm saying is true, if you could force yourself, which you can't, so we'll talk about that, but if you could force yourself to come back and stay in the practice, it will take a few days and you would be back to the feeling of connection. So the point here is that the first thing I want to bring to you is that it is truly within your power. It is much less random than you think. What is random is life. What is random are the reasons that drop you out of your practice. This is the part that is random because, it does happen, right? Things happen. And random or non-random, right? Do you bring it upon yourself? Do you call it? There's a thing to think about. But overall, it feels very random. It feels random enough that you can operate with it as if it came out of nowhere. But the practice is within your power. And I am not telling you here to be a disciplined person. We'll talk about this. Okay, so I'm not telling you, be disciplined. What I'm telling you is that the bringing it back is in your power. And that alone, without returning to the practice, that alone is sufficient to calm you down. So we'll talk about this as well in a second. So what I mean to say is I want you to change that feeling of disconnection, I am lost, to a feeling of, I'm on a little break. I can bring it back. It is within my power. It doesn't just happen to me and I'm completely powerless and drifting through the life without understanding anything. No, there is a power. See, I have a question. What do you mean by practice is only physical or more than physical? How do you feel guided or connected? Okay, the practice that I'm referring to is whatever practice you do that brings you that connection. So most of us that felt this sense of loss usually came to the sense of connection through some form of practice. So I'm saying, in my case, it would be meditating and then coming to meditation. And it almost does not matter which technique, because you just give it a few days and it will happen naturally. And I have a sense in which I call this. When I say I'm being guided and when I say that I feel connected, in my case, it's actually rather explicit. When I say I get guidance, I get pretty clear guidance. Is something else or so. It's a deeper discussion to talk about in the future, but it's whatever feels to you, to be connected. For some people, is to have a habit of prayer, a habit of Bible study. For some people, is a habit of just, I don't know, even journaling, to somebody who is still not there at a place of inner connection at a more intuitive level and wants to do it in a very cognitive level. It's just the fact that you're doing your journaling, whatever it is that brings you that sensation of, I am guided in this life, I am connected, I am held. Now, if you don't have that yet, then that's perhaps a conversation for the future. So this conversation, file that in your memory as something for when you have it. Because what we are looking for in a spiritual life is, well, many things. But one of the things that we're looking for is that sensation, that connection, that feeling of that we are not drifting, that there is a meaning and that there is a thing that holds you here that brings meaning. And so how do I feel, guided or connected? Answering your question, in my case, for example, it would be, I feel guided. I feel like I know what I have to do, what I'm here to do, and there is a meaning that is there. That was the thing I was looking for. That is the thing that I found. I found many more things than that, but that is one of the things I found, and that is the thing that distressed me when I felt lost. I felt completely, that I had no guidance. The practice itself, in my case, is whatever takes me to meditation. The problem is that meditation, especially back when I was having this, it could be very focused, felt very fruitful, very good, and then it could not, and then I could be all over the place, and I could be completely, the meditation wasn't necessarily great. So this is a thing from back when I could rely or not rely on meditation to be connecting, right? Because the problem is, your skill might not be there yet to have a meditation that is sure to connect you, immediately. But the point I want to make is that it doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter if your meditation is good or your meditation is not good. I want to bring to your attention the fact that the practice fell through first. That's the first thing. Your connection does not disappear before. It is the habit, I don't want to say habit. It is the fact that you're coming back to whatever it is that brought it to you. So let me just read here. Yes. So Chemical Soup here is saying that you notice that you can get lost and disconnected when you start building thoughts over thoughts on assumptions and destroying the assumption with the mantra, I don't know, brings me back. Yes. So basically getting in your head, right? So there are many reasons to get lost or disconnected. And, for some people, they have a health problem and they don't know what the health problem, what causes it. And so they have low energy, high energy, low energy, high energy. And that energy, that you have to act in this world, is very determining of that. And that energy feels very random. Now, is this random or not? That's a different conversation. But it does feel random. But what I want to say is you can have low energy and still be connected. You may not feel the grace. I want to separate the two things, because one thing is to say, I am guided in this world and I know what to do to access that guidance. And a separate thing to say is, I am in the grace of this guidance. I feel wonderful. Those are different things. And the feeling wonderful and feeling, the grace, this is a good word, feeling that elation that is so wonderful, that thing is much less needed than you think. It's a wonderful thing, but it is much less needed than you think. There are two pieces to it, and one of them is the connection, the knowing that something is guiding you, and the knowing that you are not drifting, and that also the knowing that there is a piece that comes with it, that it is a certain helplessness that you don't know when it happens, you don't know when that happens. That thing actually always stays. You never lose it. What you lose is the sensation of that connection, which is that elation. And the problem is that you have a sensation of helplessness, that it just happens to you. And what I want to say to you is that it is not coming from the practice is what fell through. Whatever it is that caused you to change, whatever thing that happened in your life that drove you out of the practice, that is the thing that drove you out of that sensation of connection. And that changes everything. And the reason why it changes everything is because when you know that if only the practice would come back, if only you were able to do the practice, then you would recover that connection, then that will bring you peace. That is a world of difference between I feel terrible and I feel disconnected. I lost whatever that was. And also, I have no idea what brings it back. I have no idea what caused it. I have no idea why it comes. I have no idea why it lives. That is a state of mind. A very different state of mind is, shit is happening in my life. I cannot be in practice. Therefore, I am disconnected. Very different mindset. Because that mindset allows you to say, you know what? Yeah, right now I feel disconnected because I am unable to maintain my practice. Why? Because things happened. Because whatever state you were in, it was your life, it was your mind, your brain, it was, some bipolar, it was some health issue, whatever it is that drove you away from the practice is keeping you away from the practice. And it's not good. It does not feel good. But it's a very big difference to not feel good and to feel lost. Those are two different things. We can feel when you are not lost, you can take enormous amounts of not feeling good and be okay. Because there is a very big difference between feeling good and feeling bad in terms of, being all right, being physically well, being even well in your emotions, and being lost or not lost, held, not held. You see, there's a difference there. And the lack of that divine grace or that thing, that is the most distressing part. I want to bring you to the very religious people who really hold this religiosity really deep in their mind, in their heart, that they are truly religious. And that whenever something very bad happens, they always say, oh, I'm sure God has a plan for me. Or they'll say, oh, I'm sure it's for a good reason. People who say that, I'm a person that says that these days, but I was not that person. So somebody who can say that, do you see how incredible that is? Because somebody who can say, that can have this level of meaning in their life, that they can say, oh, there is something, they happen for a good reason. That person will still suffer. They will still have problems. It's not like they're not going to have trouble in their life. But there is a difference between trouble and, oh my God, what is this? What's going to happen? I don't know. There is a different sensation between, I have to face this very hard thing, but there is a good reason for it. Or I have to face this hard thing. I don't know why it happened. I don't know what is this. I don't know why these things keep happening to me. I don't know why I attract this. I don't know how to get myself into a better place. I don't know. See, there's a very big difference. And the happening is the same. And what I want to say to those of you who have found some connection through practice and then you lose it, because those of you who have not found it, then that's a different conversation. And for now, what I can say is try to find it. And this channel is all about this. Basically, is a whole bunch of practices and things that are going to bring you these kinds of connection. But if you already have it or had it, and then you lose it, I want to tell you this. It can seem so obvious. And you see, I'm repeating this because I know you got it. I know your brain got it. But have you got it? You see, there's a difference. Did you get it? You understand the difference, right? So this is why I'm repeating myself. I'm repeating because I'm trying to talk to something else of you, which is not your brain. Yeah, I know. But do you though? And I want you to, and how do you know this? Well, you know this when you discover it. And the discovery is now, you just heard it from me. But then you see for yourself. You experiment for yourself. And I am not saying for you to power through and come back to the practice. If you can, by all means, do it. But this is not always possible. So some of us don't have the energy or the willpower or the ability, or indeed life really did get in the way, and it is not possible. I just want you to hold back, just even if you do nothing, just hold in your mind this knowledge. Because at some point, hopefully, and I have faith that it will happen, you will go back to your practice. And then when you go back to your practice, you will feel connected. And I want to then, by that point that you are connected, notice the next time you feel disconnected. Because I'm not going to tell you that the next time you connect, you're going to realize that your practice came back first. Because sometimes the practice could be something that happened. Like, for example, I don't know, you were meditating and you were connected. Then you fell out of practice. You got disconnected. Life happened. Then you were drifting. Then you took a psychedelic, in the forest. And then that connected you again. And that brought you back to that connection. So it's not going to feel like the practice was the one that returned first, because the practice you did was a very different practice. You just did a psychedelic, which means it was a completely different input that brought this back to you. So this is going to feel very, it's not going to feel like what I'm saying is right. What I'm asking you to do is on the next cycle, once you are connected and you then disconnect, notice how it happened. And notice if it wasn't something that drove you out of whatever it is that was bringing that state. Because let's just say you took a psychedelic, you're not going to be taking a psychedelic every day. And so what happens after? Because you may have felt connected that day, but why did you then become connected? Well, you become connected because after that day, then you became more reflective, more calm, or you were doing something. And notice then, when you lose it, how that something stopped. Because the moment you realize that, I am right, because I am right, just notice, it's just subtle, because our life changes and we connect not always in the same way, and things happen and things vary. But the moment you notice that there is a practice that comes first, then the next time that you are disconnected, then you'll be like, oh, it's okay. I can come back to the practice. And then what is the practice that made you feel well, you remember what that was, and you're like, okay, once I have some space, I will do this again. And then the several things happen that are very good. One of them is that you don't feel lost. You just feel that you are in a hiatus. You feel that you're in a little break, which is fine. It's like, oh, okay, I am not receiving the information I had. I am not feeling the way I felt. This doesn't feel good, but it is there. It is there to be had. I'm just without the ability right now to go search for it where I know I will find it. I know I will find it. That already is enough. A person can withstand quite a long time, in fact, of no grace, if they know it has an end, if they know they can get the end, if they know where it is to be found. Very big difference in the way that you can withstand pain, And sometimes the pain is sort of important, right? So sometimes it feels like, why am I feeling this? Why am I not, right? But sometimes it's very important. Like, for example, your child needs something. And then you don't really feel bad at all, because you no longer... So you see, before, even when this happened, I would feel bad. like really, really bad, because even though this was very important, what I had to take care of took precedence. The disconnection distressed me because I also felt that I was disconnected and lost, and when it's going to come back and what is happening and so on. Now I feel like, oh, this very important thing needs to be taken care of. The price is my not feeling so great. I paid. I paid with no mind. See? Because it's not being lost. It's just paying a price, because sometimes life is hard and, it's okay. And that's okay. That makes a world of difference. And then the second thing that it does is that it gives you a drive to go back. Because when we get lost, what happens is that it also drives a whole cycle of getting lost, continuing to be lost. Because you lost, and then life sucks, and then and then you eat badly, and then you do all the things, and then everything gets worse. Well, when you realize that it can be gotten back, you can get it back by your actions that you control, the going back to this, then also you want to go back there, which means you spend less time lost, which means that whenever you take care of something, you take care of something with the mindset that there is a place I need to go back to. So I will do what I need to do, but I'll do everything I can to go back. And you might also do things like go halfway, because halfway is a wonderful thing, halfway. I can't do all of the things. How about I do this little thing? And help it a little bit and see if that perhaps brings you back, that connection. Let me check here. Does it comply with your definition of good and bad? I mean, are you being guided to do good things, or does it also include bad things? The guidance I received is 100% good. I am absolutely convinced of this. And it was not something that so the question is if I am sure. So if the guidance includes bad things. No, when I'm saying here divine guidance, I mean something that you would know is good in this world. It's a thing you must do. The guidance I receive only has ever been good for me. I have 100% trust. And it was not built easily, because I was not somebody who was at all an esoteric person or a spiritual person or a person who was looking for this. So I'm not a person of faith, not by nature. I am not someone for whom faith comes easily. So this was not built easily. This was a earned thing, let's just say. Whatever this is has earned it. Very, very hardly. So, to a level that even, but I never really doubted his goodness. The goodness, there was never any evidence of non-goodness. I'll tell you the story one day, this is a long, long story and complicated. And so I'll bring the pieces there as I can. But yes, in this case, yes. If you are guided by something inside to do bad things, this is not what I'm talking about. Then you have a voice inside that is driving something. So most likely it is parts of your ego that are, that are confused in some sense. So I'm asking about the result of guide. Oh, then please ask the question differently, then perhaps I will get it. All right. And so I guess this is what I had to say. Let me see if I have anything to say about this. So I'll just summarize while I'm waiting for Chemical Soup to finish her or his question, and then I'll answer. So the thing to say therefore is that the point here, and by the way, a lot of the things I have been talking about within this series of Reconnect and Return is precisely about mindset. Because that so much in life is all about mindset. But what I'm trying to do here is sort of preach at you the details of this. Because everybody says, oh, you just have to be optimistic. You just have to be positive. I don't know about you. That says nothing to me. I I don't relate to being told how to feel. But I sometimes can understand things, and that changes everything. Because I can withstand any feeling and any pain if I see the reason, if I see if I see a meaning to it. And so this is what I'm talking about. So what I'm trying to bring to you is not a platitude of like just feel well, is a hope that you will see a pattern one day, that your practice was the thing that was bringing that which you need, that thing you came to depend on, that thing that brought you peace. For those of you that had that peace in today's conversation, that thing, it is within your power to bring it back. And that's not a platitude. I'm talking about the same thing that brought it will bring it back if you return there. Now, it does not mean that it comes back immediately. Even these days, when I go back to meditation really quickly into the state, no matter how crazy it was, no matter having stopped for a while, I'll still come back very, very quickly. But it's still, depending on the amount of havoc in my life, it can still take some days. And I'm a very impatient person, which means that even a few days was enough to destabilize me, And now I know, no. This can take 2 weeks even. But it's there to be had through the practice. The moment you see this, it's just a matter of time and effort and coming back and patience and so on. All these resources are inside of you. What is not necessarily inside of you is the ability to withstand being lost if you feel powerless about this. So she says, she or he, I'm not sure, so it says, to put X amount of spice in your food is good. Have you been guided to do differently? This differently feels. I'm not entirely sure I understand. So here's what I'm going to do. I will let you all go, and then I'll just stay. And then, for those of you who like to be on the stream, then that's, we can have conversations and remain longer. So I'll just say, I hope this was helpful.